The story of the youngest cartel member whispered his way into the streets like a curse. No one wanted to hear, but everyone repeated. They called him a child of shadows, raised in the silence of gunfire and broken promises, born into a house where loyalty was paid for in blood rather than love. His name drifted through alleys and border towns, sometimes spoken with fear, other times with awe, as if people could not decide whether he was a monster or a tragic creation of the world around him. The first glimpse came from those blurred recordings. A boy's face half covered by a scarf, eyes cold, older than his years, standing with hardened men who cheered his every move. In the days after the clip began to circulate, families of soldiers cried out for answers while the cartel's allies celebrated his rise as if he were a prince inheriting a throne. Behind closed doors, his relatives argued bitterly. His mother insisted he had been forced into this life, dragged along by men who used his youth as a shield. His uncles, however, claimed he had chosen his own path, eager to earn his place among legends. The tension within the family was unbearable, with cousins turning against each other, accusing one another of betrayal. The arguments spilled over into long nights of shouting, where emotions ran high and every word felt like the beginning of another war. In smoky cantinas, older cartel veterans warned that pushing the boy into the spotlight so soon would invite disaster. "You cannot build an empire on the shoulders of a child," one man said, slamming his glass on the table. Yet others argued that his very youth was the weapon, that no one would expect such cruelty from someone barely past childhood. The debate split the underworld in two, leaving allies confused, fans online stunned, and rivals sharpening their blades for the storm to come. The boy himself, caught between expectation and fear, wrestled with demons no one could see. He longed for freedom from the weight of his father's reputation. Yet at the same time, he felt drawn to the fire, convinced that the only way to protect his family was to embrace the darkness he had inherited. At night, he would sit alone, staring at his hands as if searching for the line between innocence and guilt. He wondered if his face would ever be remembered without the shadows of what he had done, or if he was destined to remain a ghost, forever defined by violence. Reports of his actions began to pile up, each more shocking than the last. Stories told of him riding into villages, flanked by men twice his age, delivering orders with a calmness that unsettled even hardened killers. One witness claimed he smiled faintly after issuing a command that led to the disappearance of 3 rivals. Another swore that he once refused to pull the trigger himself, only to watch silently as his men carried out the deed, his expression unreadable. These conflicting tales painted him as both ruthless and reluctant, a boy torn apart by contradictions. His father's loyalists, desperate to prove the boy's strength, orchestrated displays meant to terrify their enemies. Caravans of trucks drove through towns blasting music, chanting his name as if he were already a legend. Children whispered about him in schoolyards, calling him the boy who made soldiers fall from the sky, while mothers clutched their children tighter, terrified of what his rise might mean for their future. Journalists speculated endlessly, each article dripping with sensational claims, each headline more dramatic than the last. Behind the noise, a more dangerous game played out. Rivals plotted to use his youth against him, spreading rumors that he was unprepared, reckless, and easily manipulated. Some claimed his own allies doubted his ability to lead, whispering of betrayal within his closest circle. The tension boiled when a meeting between families ended in shouting matches, threats exchanged across the table, accusations flew like bullets. One brother blamed another for leaking secrets. A cousin swore vengeance for an insult that cut too deep. The family, once united by blood, began to fracture under the weight of suspicion. The boy's mother wept in silence, her tears hidden from the world. She begged him to walk away, to escape before it consumed him entirely. But every plea only hardened his resolve, for he believed stepping back would leave his family vulnerable to rivals who circled like wolves. His heart ached, torn between love and duty. But the path he chose led